Hello, everybody. Welcome to it. It's Kimberly here, talking with Ghost, bounce right back massage. You have a name for me? I'll take it. I hope everybody's doing really, really well and good. It's my weekly message from Spirit, and I'm not really sure who's going to come in today because Paul's here and Anthony Bourdain's here. So I have to just kind of take a minute and to see who's coming today. Okay, Paul wants to take it. All right. uh, they're saying that Tony just wanted to come in to church today to see what it was all about. So I'm happy that I saw him. I actually got a message from him in church today. It was awesome. Anyway, let's get on with it. Housekeeping stuff. If you would like a intuitive coaching session from me, I do it in person in the YEG area and I do it virtually. So you can go to bouncerightbackmassage.com to book that if you would like. Also, still receiving donations for wings if you feel like you can give to help women and children escape from abusive households and get back on their feet again. Any donation is really, really love and adored, and I will leave the link to donate below. So let's get on with it. Did you decide what you wanted to talk about today? He's like, there's so much happening in your guys' lives that he says he struggles with what to talk about, but he's gonna give it a go. The first thing that he was showing me, and he's doing it right now, he's juggling a lot of things, and he's saying I'm showing Kim juggling because there is so much that people are juggling right now that is not necessarily theirs. He says that people have been juggling so many obligations, so many thoughts, so many feelings, uh, that there have been people on the outside of them that have been actually tossing in objects for individuals to juggle just to see, hmm, just to see how much they can handle before everything falls. He says, in the past week, there have been a lot of situations that have been happening globally, politically, personally, that he sees people who aren't juggling are actually tossing objects for people who are juggling a lot, tossing objects for them to juggle even more things. Um, and the people who are tossing more things for these people to juggle are actually having a good laugh about it. Uh, he says, I haven't felt so bothered or upset by things recently than I had, like, since I died, than I have seen recently in regards to people's behavior towards each other. He's saying, if you want to see change in your life, then he's saying you need to stop juggling so much and you actually have to start looking within to see what needs to change within you to have that experience shown to you in the outside world. Okay, he's saying the people who are juggling so much right now are actually those individuals who are trying to be the peacekeepers, who are trying to make life easier for other people, who are making sure people are at peace, other people are at peace in their lives by sacrificing their own peace. So they're like taking all of these balls and they're juggling all of these balls um, without realizing that at some point it's gonna all kind of fall and break. He's like, the givers, the lovers, the people who carry others on their back willingly, the empaths, the sensitives, the people who try to keep this planet moving forward, those people who are juggling the most, a lot of those balls are all going to fall. So he's saying to me right now, he's like, he would like the empaths, the caregivers, the um, people who are taking on the responsibility on their backs. He's saying he would actually like these people who have taken on the most without being asked, by just doing, let all the balls fall. Right now, he's saying it is absolutely super important for people to see what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. He says, especially in the last week, and he's showing me the border between Canada and the States, because this is kind of like triggering a lot of people. He said, but within the last week, he has seen more people take advantage of the people who are trying to carry the world on their backs, and sort of like not being put in their place, sort of like not taking responsibility for their own actions, their own situations, their own lives. They're they're just pretty much giving a lot more of the responsibility that they need to take in their lives to the other people who have done it willingly over and over and over again over the course of how many years. He said in this week, there has been like a huge influx of that energy, where the people who just don't want to take a look at themselves, don't want to, take the actions to fix their lives, want to put the responsibility on other people. It has been huge, heavy this week that those people have been doing this to the people who are willingly taking on the responsibility of other people's, and neglecting themselves. So he's like, for the message of this week is for the people who feel like they have been inundated with the responsibilities of not just their own, but with other people's. He's saying, allow all the balls to drop. He's like, right now is the perfect time for getting you empath, you sensitive, you workforce, you who have been the atlas, who have held the world on their shoulders. It is now time to drop that world, because that world is not necessarily yours. It has always been somebody else's that you're carrying for them, and you need to give it back to them, because the people who are neglecting what they need to do in their life, they're neglecting the lessons that they needed to learn in their life. It is absolutely now a pivotal point where you need to hand all that back to them, because they need to work it out, and you can't work it out for them anymore. Okay. He's saying this is going to be some tough love. He's like, the people who have been in the position for so long, that have played rescuer towards other people, are now being asked to put the attention on themselves, because they are needing rescuing. Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of extremes playing out right now in people's relationships. And right now, there is absolutely a middle ground that is about to be met. So the people who have been holding other people's worlds on their shoulders for the others, so they have an easier go of it, just because they feel like it's almost like they don't want to hear the other side talk anymore. It's like, if I just do this, it'll just be okay. That's over, because they need to come into a middle ground where it's give and take, because they've been giving so much. And then the people who have been constantly telling people or shoving people more balls onto their juggling pile, they need to take back. They need to stop demanding so much, and they're about to be given back what no longer works for the other person. The reason why he's saying this week is because, okay, conflict, personally, globally, friendship circles, that's going to be and there's going to be different stages for everybody, but that's going to be coming to a head a little bit. The people who are not used to having boundaries, the people who have not laid foundational boundaries in their lives, are now starting to do that, because they're tired. And he says, when people don't get enough sleep, they tend to get cranky. And there have been a lot of people who haven't gotten enough sleep, because the sleepers who are taking that privilege to stay asleep have been sleeping in way too much, and the people who've been awake have been taking care of all the chores while letting people sleep in. He's basically putting it to that. That's all really coming to a head right now. Um, he says, I'm going to take charge. I'm going to be the leader here. He says, I don't need my empaths. I don't need my givers. I don't need my um, people who take it on the chin constantly, constantly, constantly. I don't need them to give up because they're heaven's workforce. And heaven's workforce, um, they don't even realize how strong they are until this week. This week, apparently, for a lot of people, he's like, and if you're watching this in the future and you think that Kim's just talking about the week that she's talking right now, it's the week that you watch this, that week, that is going to be pivotal in your life, where you're either going to be the person that says, I can't let you handle that for me anymore. I have to handle that. Or I can't handle this for you. You either got to like get up and grow up or you got to leave. So there's an either or situation happening within the next 7 to 10 days of people watching this video. He says, some of my givers, some of my earth angels, uh, some of my light workers have not been used to voicing, this is not okay for me. They never have. They've always just taken it on the chin and did it. But there comes a point where if my givers aren't going to be truthful about how they're feeling and just constantly stuff it down all the time, there's going to be some eruptions. He says, I'm just giving you guys the heads up that the conflicts that are going to be seen or felt or lived through didn't actually need to happen if both parties were actually being honest. If the people who constantly throw the balls at those who are already juggling, if they're constantly throwing the balls to these people and expecting them to catch them, there's going to be some honesty coming on their end that, oh, crap, I've really been, abusing the situation. And then the people who are dropping the balls are actually going to be like, you've abused the situation. And if either or don't like what the other person is saying or how they're trying to come across as being apologetic or trying to take ownership, there's going to be conflict involved. I'm not really how okay, because he's saying that there's so many people at the end of their ropes right now. They don't know whether they're coming or going in other people's lives. The people who have been throwing the balls to those who are constantly juggling their stuff and the other person's stuff, they're feeling neglected because this person who's juggling all this stuff doesn't have time for them. And so there's a bit of blame that's going to be coming up where you don't pay enough attention to me. However, the attention that the person is trying to give them is taking all of that stuff so they can live a more peaceful life. And that comment, you don't pay enough attention to me, while they're throwing them balls to juggle for them, is going to be taken really, really horribly. Because it's like this other person who's the giver, who takes it on the chin, who's carrying the lot of all this responsibility for a bunch of people, is going to be like, you don't see what I'm doing? Do you not see what I'm doing? And please tell me when I have the time to take care of you, because obviously I'm missing something. So there's going to be some communication gaps that are coming up. Okay, he's like, he doesn't normally like to do prediction videos, but this is a prediction videos to prepare both sides to actually become more involved in their own individual lives instead of passing the buck. Okay, he's like, throughout history, there has been so many people passing the buck, passing the responsibility onto other people. And the people who through lineages, oh, through lineages have been those people who have taken that buck and took it on themselves. He's like, this hasn't just been this lifetime. They are carrying that load for lifetimes and lifetimes of being that person who takes the buck from those who have passed it. So there's these, he's saying there's these cycles that are being brought back from the graves, like lineages, ancestry. These people have played these parts for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and that's why this week they are up to high dough with it. Okay. What is breaking this up actually is because he's like the sun, our solar sun, um, okay, Northern lights in my area have been huge. They have been constant. He's showing me that the point of the northern lights that we're seeing in the sky, the solar flares from the sun, is to break up those relationships, the obligations, the duties that people have taken responsibility for, even though it's really not their responsibility. It's showing me it's like breaking apart these dynamics because they can't happen anymore. If the world is going to be coming into balance, um, there needs to be more of a balance in the connections and relationships with people. There needs to become more balance in the connections and relationships between countries. Unfortunately, the imbalance of the countries has started with the imbalance of personal relationships rippling out. He's like, the perfect example of rippling out would be those who have imbalanced relationships, who take it on the chin, or who constantly pass the buck to people. That ripples out to friendship groups, that ripples out to neighborhoods, that ripples out to cities, that ripples out to provinces, states, whatever areas, and then countries. So he's like, this week or the chaos that's happening in the world today is a perfect example of what ripples out from self. And he's saying that balance of self has to come back now. It has to come back now. And so you are going to see that balance come back within people. However, neither party is used to it. So there's going to be conflict involved. And he says that's just the way it is. He says, I've been talking to you guys for years and years and years about this. And he says, if you've listened, that's awesome. If you haven't listened, you're going to be listening, in the days to follow whenever you watch this video. Okay. I have taken the job of being, he's like sort of a messenger of things that I see in heaven. He says, I have sort of taken on the job of being that guy that hears some gossip in heaven and comes to share it with you guys so you guys are in the know or you guys are aware of what's to come. He says, for years, I have been talking about imbalance. He says, even the whole twin flame thing, he says, for years, I've been talking about how it's not really used appropriately. He says, that whole, okay, that whole story of the twin flame, how imbalanced it is, that is even coming to the surface to kind of knock people on the head and be like, holy crap, I was so wrong about that. I was playing pretend for so long. I can't go back to the way that was because that kept me stuck in this energy. There are people who are going to realize, oh my God, oh, interesting. Look at my husband or wife. I have passed the buck onto them for so many things. They just asked me for a divorce. I have to clean up my act or else I'm going to lose everything. It's that kind of energy right now where it's like, okay, there's this party that's up to high dough and this party that has no friggin' clue. And if they do have a clue, they're grasping at straws on how to fix it right away. And in some instances, it's going to be a little bit too late for that. So he's like, if you're practicing your juggling, he's like, you've already mastered the art of juggling. It's time to drop all the balls and see where they lie. Okay, he says, if you look at your life after you've let all of it go, and you look at your life, and you look on the floor, and you look at all the balls that are dropped, your balls will have a specific energy print in them that will show you what's important to keep and what you need to give away. Okay. He's like, a lot of what's going on with these breaking points is that he says people have not really understood what love actually is. Okay. He's like, love is not about rescuing people. Love is not about doing for. Love is not about allowing people to take care of your stuff and take advantage of their kindness. Love is the ultimate acceptance and the ultimate partnership and the ultimate coming together of the aspects, not the human, the aspects of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. He says, if the divine feminine and the divine masculine is imbalanced within the person, it will be imbalanced within their connections. And that's what's coming to the forefront right now. Okay. He's like, women have a lot of the time, unfortunately, he's saying, women have become mothers to partners because that was the assumption that they thought that love was. That was the assumption that they thought was a true partner, was that they would take it on the chin and be more of a mother and not a partner, or be more of a father than a partner. That's all changing now. And sorry, if you hear me, I have to I talked to a client today and I have to do stuff with my hands when I channel. And if you're hearing rubbing, it's I'm kind of like rubbing on the I have a tablecloth and I'm rubbing on it because I have to have something like it's a new thing of mine. I have to have contact with something so that I am able to pick up the energy. It's just so weird, but sometimes like you can't see on camera, but I'm like this. So the imbalance of that, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the people assuming that being connected with their divine feminine is being that caregiver nurturer, but doing that to the extreme, that is breaking apart. The identity of the divine masculine, who thinks all they need to do is to be a provider, to sit back and allow everything else to be taken care of, and just because they provide or they're like the security feature of the home or the partnership or the connection, that's just their job. That is changing too because that's very imbalanced. Okay. He says, regardless of male, female human beings, he's like the aspects of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the assumptions of the meanings of those are very, very imbalanced. And so whoever is playing to the extreme, the divine feminine, and whoever is playing to the extreme, the divine masculine, right now they are being met in a position where everything's going to be dropped, everything's coming to ground zero, and they will actually learn the definition of true divine masculine, divine feminine partnership. Regardless if you're a man or a woman, this is what it is. The divine feminine was never meant to juggle the world for the divine masculine as he throws in balls because he's done with them and he doesn't feel like he needs to take part in that. That's the divine feminine's role. It was always a partnership. So, okay, he's saying this week, what is going to be highlighted is appropriate partnership, appropriate connection, because there's going to be the necessity of an example for people to follow to remedy the extremes that they have been living. Okay. It's not just about people. It's also about countries, because you have countries also who have been more in the divine feminine, and you have countries that have been more in the divine masculine. And you can even say, like, you can even hear it in speech, like they talk about countries as him and her, right? Um, okay, so Mother Earth, Mama G, has been the divine feminine that has been juggling and holding it all together. And while she hasn't minded that job, that was her job, that's what she signed up for. Um, the sun, the solar flares of the sun are cracking all of what she's been trying to hold together, so that those people who have caused that have a chance to rectify that. Um, He says, I have never, ever seen the cooperation from the sun and Mama G that I have seen right now. Wow, this is huge. Like, he's making me feel like it's like huge. He has never seen the cooperation from Source Sun and Mama G, Mother Earth, that he has seen right now, and the effects that are actually like kind of trickling and raining down on people. And once the drops of this energy of the cooperation between the central sun and Mama G, once those kind of raindrops rain down on everybody's crown, that is when it's going to hit them. Oh my God, this really doesn't work. This really isn't working. Some people are going to take that to the extreme because they have been kind of ignoring or pushing down how they've been feeling for quite a while, and that volcano is going to erupt. Or there's going to be people who are going to be schooled, and they're going to be told, no, absolutely not. This is not doing anybody any favors, me or you anymore. And so I refuse. And they're going to feel like they're being dragged into a hanging, like this, like it's going to be so like front and center. Oh my God, I'm being led to my death, because they're going to be schooled in how to take care of themselves, and they do not know how to take care of themselves. He's saying mentally and emotionally. Mentally and emotionally care for oneself is prominent this week. He's saying the physical, people in general know how to physically care for themselves. Mentally and emotionally, these are going to be schooled a lot this week. And it's going to be through relationships that they're going to be schooled. And not everybody's going to like it. Okay. He's saying that the act of practicing forgiveness is also a part to play in this. He's like, people tend to forget that forgiveness does not let somebody off the hook. It lets you off the hook for being that assumption in people's lives. Forgiveness is not giving people permission to continue the behavior. Forgiveness is actually saying no, putting a stop to it, and repairing any sort of damage that's been done, or re-educating yourself on the purpose of your part you're playing, where it was a little bit misleading, where it was misled, and taking ownership of that so it doesn't happen again. Forgiveness only frees you to be the absolute best and highest version of yourself without the noise and chatter of other influences. Forgiveness also gives the person, okay, he says, let yourself off the hook for what you feel like has been done to you. Letting yourself off the hook for being a victim of other people's abuse. He says proper forgiveness is actually very, very, very empowering. And he says, my prediction is that people are actually going to also with the whole bringing into balance the extremes of the divine feminine and the divine masculine is how to appropriately use forgiveness for people's highest and best good. Uh, it's a heavy week because, and he's like, if people are watching this now, it's because the the fire season has started. There's a lot of fires that have been started, and metaphorically, figuratively, like truthfully, there's a lot of fires that have been started already in this fire season, in this spring season. And some of those were on purpose and some of them were by accident. So this week is really about containing the extremes of the fires that have been started and being a little bit more aware of the gasoline that everybody's been putting on the fire to make it spread, or being the actual fire that people are putting gasoline on and just having enough and needing that cool of the water to extinguish all of that stuff. Okay, he's he says the people that you have assumed have been the quiet ones that have allowed behaviors to go on for a really long time. Those people who you have assumed will never say no, they're saying no. They're saying no now. Um, he says, we have told many people that no, when done appropriately, is a very complete sentence. And he's saying there's going to be a lot of periods and sentences or exclamation marks put in sentences of the word no for a lot of people who have been taking it on the chin for a really, really long time. Okay, he's saying the underdogs are now coming to be seen, heard, valued. The underdogs right now, whenever you watch this in 7 to 10 days, those are the ones, the underdogs that are actually going to be put front and center on stage. Those are the ones that are going to be the example of people. Okay, and they are going to do the job very, very well because they know what it was like to be in the back of the line. Um, okay, again. Okay, so I told a client this today too. In church today, there was a very good example of this person came and he was talking about totem poles and how he's been feeling how he recently he's been feeling like he's the bottom of the totem pole. But then he had to remind himself, and I'm paraphrasing, he had to remind himself that the bottom of the totem pole is actually the strongest part of the totem pole and actually what keeps it upright. The base is everything. So people who have thought they were at the bottom of totem poles of their life and other people's lives um, are actually going to be recognized and given a round of applause because their strength, their power to keep all these totem poles up and aligned, pointed towards heaven, um, that's not a gig that is meant for everybody. But at some point, when the bottom of the totem pole understands their strength, they're actually, it's the totem pole is going to turn into an elevator and they're going to be rising to the top. So prepare people. If you have been feeling like you're at the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of a hierarchy, the bottom of a pyramid scheme, the bottom of somebody's, I don't know, existence because they made themselves queen or king of the castle, you're actually going to come up and out of that energy and actually rise to the top. Okay. He says, those who have felt like they were buried under other people's lives or experiences are now being resurrected and rebirthed to be the phoenix. He says there are hundreds, if not thousands, of phoenixes rising from other people's ashes. What um, he's showing me a witch being burned, um, and the witches were burned because of other people. You know, you're a witch, you're going to die for your sins. So they died for other people's sins. They're actually the phoenix. People are coming into the energy of the phoenix rising from the ashes of other people's sins. That is that's actually kind of really scary, like not scary, but really like huge in an enormous and really holy crap way. Scary wasn't the right word, but I mean, but I can see it. I can see how, you know, the givers and the people who've taken on the chin for other people so they could have a more peaceful life. I could see how those ashes could be the result of other people's wood, other people's kindling, and we're just rising from that because it's time. Because we have, you know, the givers and stuff, they've been silenced or put to death or whatever for so long. And I can see how the earth is just using the sun's energy to crack this stuff open, these cycles open, these lineages open, this history open, so that it can all be brought back into balance. He's like, yeah, because we can't move into a future, he's saying, by bringing along the hurts of the past. We can't move into a future together, heaven and earth, with bringing the atrocities of the past. And sometimes that feels like healing chaos. It really does feel like healing, like these tornadoes and storms are going through people's lives to rip away everything that's no longer supposed to be there so they can actually see the whole and entirety truth, the whole and entire truth of what's really been going on so they can rise to the light and accept that light into their lives now. And that's why he's like, just let all the balls drop. Just let all the balls drop. He's like, also known as letting go of control. Because those who, as sensitive as they are, and how caring and loving as they are, and who have taken it on the chin for other people, as loving as they are, that's also a little bit of a control issue. Like if you're constantly taking the buck that somebody's passing to you, that's also a need to control their happiness in a way that it burns you, right? So there's like a lot of stuff that he's showing me that's going to be coming to light. Okay. He says, as much as I've seen the extremes, what's going on there? He's like, as much as I see the extremes in people's lives, and the extremes that the cooperation of the sun and Mama G is having, Mother Earth is having, and breaking all that open, I also see that it doesn't take long for those experiencing this to come back to center because intuitively they knew that their lives were very, very imbalanced. And so, because the sun, the source is involved, that's in igniting people's solar plexus area, and they are taking charge. They are taking charge now. Other people will have that weak solar plexus or that overactive solar plexus, and they will have to still come back into their balance because they're still working on extremes. But really, it's just so like for people who used to whisper, their voice is actually going to be heard. And it is so empowering. It is so empowering. And it won't even matter if the people who are throwing the balls, it won't even to for these people who are have been juggling and these people are adding to their load to juggle. And they let all the balls drop. It doesn't even matter what the other person says. It's like, oh my God, now I see you for what you are. You got a lot of work to do on yourself. You have an overactive solar plexus. Um, you go and do you now because it's about time that I do me. There is so much if this is taken He's like, there is so much empowerment in this week, or when you watch this in the week following that you watch this. There is so much self empowerment. It is crazy. So, so special. So, so special. It's like these videos can sometimes be long and drawn out because I have a lot that I give to Kim to channel, but my message is pretty clear. He says, those that are juggling all the responsibilities of other people, all the obligations that belong to other people, they're dropping the balls. And sometimes those people who have been sending the balls to the people to juggle for them are going to get the rude wake up call. They're going to feel abandoned. There's going to be some abandonment issues when people say, no, I've had enough. There's going to be abandonment issues. There's going to be temper tantrums. He says there's going to be blame, shame, judgment. Uh, all those words from the party that feels offended because they're not being taken care of anymore are going to fall on deaf ears because the empowerment that is coming to the divine feminine is friggin' amazing. I can't even tell you. As I'm talking, I feel empowered. I feel so strong. I feel so like, let's do it. Let's take this. Let's stop taking it on the chin and let's just have purpose and let's just be honest and let's just be authentic. And so what? We're at the bottom of the totem pole. We're at the bottom of the totem pole because we've been friggin', have the worlds on our back, right? We've been carrying the world on our shoulders just so other people can have it easier. But now it's reversed, but it's not reversed in the sense that now the extreme is going to the other people. It's reversed so everything can come into balance. He's like, that's all that I wanted to say. So I'm going to pull a quick card and then I'll let you guys go. Today we are using Indigo Angel Oracle cards. Cool. I haven't touched these cards in a really long time. And then I got a message saying, bring your cards for today. So I'm bringing the cards for today. And can I shuffle? Oh, it's anybody's guess. I have been feeling the solar flares big time. I have been feeling broken up. I have been feeling, I've been seeing through a lot of behaviors that I didn't necessarily see through before. And honestly, I'm not saying anything to anybody that I see it from, but I'm also saying to me, I'm so lucky because everything works out in my favor. I am a self-made millionaire in so many ways, not just money. I am. But I only started doing that after I've seen the northern lights shine in the sky. Something just shifted with me, honestly. Something just shifted within me. And I'm like, I'm letting it all drop. I'm letting it all drop. And whatever is important will stay, and whatever's not will go. So let's see. Archangel Michael. Okay, yeah, this is awesome. Okay. There's a little bit of a glare, sorry. So all of this, what he's been saying, okay, self-reflection. Okay. So he's saying, when you look in the mirror, what are you seeing? When you look in the mirror and you see who's staring back, are you being absolutely authentically 100% honest with that person staring back at you? Or are there some things that you're not telling yourself that maybe you should be starting to tell yourself? Or are you going to start changing the scripts that you have been repeating to yourself over and over and over again? There is a lot of self-reflection coming this week. There is a lot of self-realization. And he says, it's all for purpose. Um, he says, hearing Archangel Michael in the ambulance going by, I have never, ever seen the involvement. He's like, the archangels have always been involved in Earth, of course. They've always been there for people, of course, but he has never seen the intense involvement of Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, um, and even like Archangel Nathaniel. He has never seen there such intense involvement from these angels as there is right now, because there is purpose for it. Um, Archangel Michael's sword, Archangel Raphael's healing, and Archangel Nathaniel's um, phoenix. It's all for cause. The minute you can self reflect and give yourself permission to realize where the imbalances have been in your life, where the extremes have played out in your life, what part you have played in that, because it's not just one-sided. It takes two to tango, he's saying. There's a dance that's been happening for years and years and years. And now that dance card is, it's pretty ratty and it's pretty tattered. And now people are doing a sit out to really self-evaluate, self-reflect on what's been going on and what changes like you can make. The minute that you can do that, and the minute that you can forgive and give yourself a break and cut yourself some slack and just continue from that moment to just really try to be the best version of yourself and bring all of you in a healthy, healthy way, and a healthy heart space and a healthy mindset to your connections, it won't take long to bring into balance. You really have to look at self, because self, he says, self is all you have. He says, humans are made in the image and likeness of the source creator, right? So when you self-reflect, he says you're actually viewing your life, your image, from the lens of the source creator. Source creator God is not some man up in a cloud, sending thunder down and rain down in judgment. Source creator is this source of absolute unconditional love. And he says, when you self-reflect, why do you put conditions on it? Paul's asking. When you self-reflect, why are you putting conditions on your self-reflection? Why are you putting conditions on your forgiveness of yourself for what you think you did or didn't do? Why are you putting limits? He's saying, why are you putting limits to that person that you're looking at in the mirror? Because your confidence, is at 10% at best. All of this is changing rapidly. All of this is changing rapidly. So the best thing that anybody can do right now, if you're moved to, is self-reflect, but not only self-reflect in what you've taken on the chin, what you've been juggling, what you're so inundated with that just doesn't bring you joy anymore, that you're tired. Self-reflect on that, looking at it from another person's perspective. I think I said in a video before, the Four Agreements, and he's talked about this book before. He says, if you need something short to read to get you through the next 7 to 10 days, read the Four Agreements. Four Agreements, Four Agreements. He cannot emphasize that book enough, because he says there are a lot of you guys that really need the message in that book, because it wasn't all about you and it wasn't all about them. He says the assumptions that you've put on yourself and others are all coming to light, and everybody is going to be offered a clean slate if they can get honest with each other and if they can start forgiving in the appropriate way. Okay. He says, God doesn't look at any human being as being limited. God looks at everybody as being limitless, right? The difference. And to understand that, there is a time to really do some self-evaluation and some self-reflection, and to see where you have put limits on yourself and where you have put limits on others, or where you have taken it on the chin in a limitless way for others, while they are playing limited. Do you know what I mean? So, okay, he says, if there is any message that I can bring to you today, is God does not see you as limited. God sees you as limitless. And he's like, start practicing that, because in knowing that you are limitless, um, I can't talk now. Uh, he says, the world is your oyster. Um, he says, love becomes pure, love becomes unending, love becomes infinite to yourself and to others, right? But that only comes with a good hard look at behaviors from yourself and from others, what parts you played in it, how you can make changes, and knowing that the changes that you make today, what's breaking open so you can actually look at it. And it's not about evaluating anything. He says it's actually about accepting the parts that you played, not evaluating what's been going on, because when you're evaluating, you're not taking ownership of the parts that you're playing. So when you're really just taking a look in the mirror and saying, where can I do good? Where can I be better? Where can I be more balanced? Where can I, draw a hard line in the sand saying, no, actually, this is not appropriate. This is breaking my heart. This is breaking my soul. Now I'm saying no, right? Um, this week is like, where am I being taken advantage of? How am I taking advantage of others? And where can I take a lot of that back? Because if I'm taking advantage of others, or if I'm being taken advantage of, it's hurts and it's sorrows and it's sadness and it's darkness in me that I haven't processed or brought to the light yet. He's like, that's just the end of it. That's the period. That's the exclamation mark. There's no dot, dot, dot there. There's no semicolon. It's like, it's very, very unhealed versions of you trying to take it or give it away. So, thanks, Kim. That was really fast. I'm like, yeah, that was really fast. But, it's all for purpose. And we just share our messages for everybody's highest and best potential. And yeah, and spirit has been with me like really, 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 really intensely these days. And I feel like anybody who wants to call in spirit, just to have that, cheering squad, uh, really, really, they're just asking you to call them in because they just want to be so helpful, especially in these times, especially in these times. Okay. He's like, sometimes when the northern lights come, it breaks apart so much. It's like all these towers are coming down and all this like debris, and people just don't know where to be in all this like debris. And for a lot of people, when there's like a big solar flare and those solar lights, and it's just like, it's kind of like a laser beam coming and like shaking up the world, crumbling stuff that was never supposed to be built up so high. It can make a lot of people lost, and the energy can be really, really scattered, and people can panic. And sometimes when you see those northern lights, there's like this fear, this panic that comes in. He's showing me. So he's like, call in the cavalry. He's like, you were never, ever, ever meant to do this stuff alone, especially in these times. He's like, as much as I had my issues with dying when I did, it was all for purpose. So I could be a part of this now, helping people get through these times right now because they are so chaotic. He's like, he's like, my reach out worldwide has now went from earth to heaven. And he's like, I have a lot of help to help you guys. And part of that is working in this way. So, I mean, I feel it whenever I see the Northern Lights. I know shit's gonna hit the fan. And he says, if you see the sunset being really, really red, you know shit's going to hit the fan the next day. If you see the sunrise being really, really red, you know that there's going to be some stuff in that day that's going to pop up that you need to deal with. Because, and he says, I'm not just talking about pink, like pink and orange, sunsets or sunrises. He's talking about the really red, red sunsets and sunrises that people see that can create, that's kind of like a sign, okay, something's going to meet me today that I have to look at, and it's going to feel pretty fiery. It's going to like feel pretty triggering, but I got this. I got this. Okay, he wants me to share a quick story about I went to with my daughter. I went on a car ride, and I leave when I do highway driving. I leave really early in the morning, and we looked at the sky, and it looked like fire was raining down from the sky. I was like, wow, that's so beautiful because it can be a sight to behold, right? It's like freaking the sky is on fire. That trip had a lot of moments in it where I'm just going to say there was a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming for purpose to release a lot of pent up stuff uh, from individuals, not me. I don't yell that much. But anyway, so he's like, if after you see this and you see, that fire in the sky, that red in the sky, not just the pinks and yellows, but the fire in the sky, or the night before you have a chance to see those spikes of northern lights, the spikes of light coming down from the sky. And he says it's not a whole sky of light, it's the spikes. You can see like the northern lights coming down and they're like wavy and stuff. He's talking about the spikes that come down. Within the next couple of days that there's going to be an issue that arises. There's going to be some triggering involved, and you have to cultivate that wherewithal to handle it in a very spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically mature place. And that's why you're noticing it. And that's why you're getting the message. Okay, today you're going to have a chance to, he's like, you're going to have a chance to be a grown up. You're going to have a chance to be mature. He says, if you remember this, if you remember me saying this through Kim, the red in the sky, you being triggered, you have a chance to show how far you've come, how mature you've become. And he's he says, just use it. He says, just use it. Just use it. And that's all it takes. So a week of self-reflection, a week of forgiveness, a week of some situations coming up that's going to sort of trigger us, make us a little bit angry, make us give up, make us drop our balls, and really look to see what's important. But it's all for a really good purpose because I don't feel fearful. I'm like, bring it on. Bring it the arfing on because I am so ready for this. We have done so much work on ourselves that honestly, we're ready for anything. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I'll be thinking about you when I'm getting my trigger on, and we'll just go from there. Hopefully I can get out a video next week. I have to see when. I think I'm working next week. Yeah, and again, if you want your own personal intuitive coaching session, virtually or in person, just go to bouncerightbackmassage.com and book it. You can see more about me on talkingwithghosts.com. And again, thank you. If you feel like you can donate to Wings, who are women who have been abused and are getting a leg up after leaving that situation, I will leave the link below. So with that, I'm wishing you so much love. I love you and I'm rooting for you. And I think that you guys are all amazing. And let's just get her done. Let's just get back to balance because balance is where it feels really good. Okay, until next time, chat at you later.